Okay, so we are live, and welcome everyone. I'm Deb with Top Weddings, and today we have Jaime with the Vintage Rental Company, and we are going to wait just a few minutes just in case we to let people get logged on. We're in denial that it's already 5 o'clock, and I'm sure some of you feel that way too. It's crazy that it's Wednesday, but it is. It's Wedding Wednesday, and we do lives every Wedding Wednesday at 5 p.m. So with some of our wedding professionals that are on Top Weddings, and we are obviously live on Facebook, and then we are also live in our 417 Engaged Couples group, which if you are engaged and you want to join that group, you can. Shelby is going to be posting the link for that group down below, so you can join that group actually even while we are while we are live today. So and we are incredibly excited about today. We have Jaime with the Vintage Rental Company and have been excited about this for a while. I get so excited because of all of her things. It's like Christmas. So let's go ahead. Jaime, go ahead and tell us who you are, of course. And obviously I already said who you're with. Go ahead.
So I'm Jaime. I own the Vintage Rental Company. I am married to a wonderful man named Clayton, and we have two beautiful children, Winnie and Cohen. And Winnie's going to start kindergarten in the fall, which doesn't seem possible, but somehow we're there to that stage. So yeah, we own the Vintage Rental Company, and then we also have a retail store here in Springfield. It's like a gourmet grocery store. And so that's actually where I'm at right now, because I figured this would be easier than trying to keep my kids from running into the backgrounds of everything or coming in and asking for snacks. So here I am.
And we did just a trial last week, and she had a whole bunch of people. You can go ahead. It's Tantera Farms, right?
Yeah, Tantera Farms. Shameless plug, right? I didn't want to be like, and let me advertise for my other business.
Okay, that's where you are. And yeah, so we were on just practicing our live the other day, and people kept on coming.
Yes, I was like, we need to do this more often.
Do a live every day. Yeah. 1 to 4, I think, would be a good. No, I'm just joking.
Yes, exactly.
So. Okay, so we have a couple great topics today. So, and like I said, Jaime is probably one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, and just blessed to have her with us here today. So the first topic that we are going to talk about is creating a meaningful and personal atmosphere. And I'm going to go ahead and get this screen pulled up so we can share it. There it goes. Oh, of course we got.
Hey, look, when I had bangs.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about creating a meaningful and personal atmosphere.
Yeah. So for me, like, my whole thing is with your wedding planning and all of your wedding, like, to really be able to use different things to create that meaningful atmosphere. Like, that's something that you'll see that kind of wording on my website and through social media, because it's something that's special to me, and I think really has a lot of value. When you think about the atmosphere of somewhere, it's like that pervading tone or mood of a place. So it's that feel that you can perceive in every part. And so when you walk into a room, it's just that general, when we talk about creating a meaningful atmosphere, it's just that feeling that you have when you walk into a room, and you create that through different things. Obviously, I'm partial to decor. Like that is a really helpful tool. in creating that meaningful atmosphere, but it goes beyond that, and it's in things like the venue that you choose or the space that you're even starting with. You can carry it out into the food that you eat, and even the photographer and the style that they have. Like, they help capture that atmosphere and even kind of put their creative flair on it as well. And so that's kind of what we're talking about when I say meaningful atmosphere. I mean, like, that feeling that you get when you walk into a space. And I'm going to try to remember how to like breathe and talk at the same time. Turns out it's really challenging. But there's a lot of different feels that you can have. So typically when you think about, your wedding, you have that classic feel, you have glamorous, you have industrial, rustic, vintage, bohemian, minimalist, mid-century modern. I don't know if I can think of any other ones, but those are kind of some like terms that you might be familiar with as far as the feel of something or the style. And all of that, like I said, it's created through the decor that you use, the venue that you've chosen, the color palette, the flowers, all of those things kind of help create that atmosphere. And there's that Maya Angelou quote that talks about like people will remember how they felt. And I think that's so true even when it comes to your wedding. Like, they might not remember everything that was said through the ceremony, and they might not even remember different things that happened, but they're going to remember how they felt. And part of how you create that meaningful feeling is through that atmosphere that you create. And so that's why I always encourage couples to consider that when they're picking out their decor, like to consider and really think about what kind of atmosphere is it that you want to have. For me, I am like a hostess at heart. I love having people over at our house. I love having get-togethers and dinners, and we host our small group, and just that is meaningful to me. And so I kind of think about that in the same, I think it kind of influences how I think about weddings, like, because it's a gathering. It's the gathering of the most important people to you. It's the people that are meaningful from all different seasons of life, and that they're there because they love you and they want to celebrate your love and the commitment that you're making. And so I kind of think of it as like you're getting to host them. As much as the day is about you as a couple, like, you also have this chance to celebrate all of these people that are in your life. And so in that, you have the chance to create this really special experience for your guests in that whole thing, as far as like how they're gonna feel, and that they'll see the intention that went into things. And not for the sake of impressing them. It's not about like, oh my goodness, look at this beautiful thing, it's so impressive. It's like, wow, like this is so special. And so for me, even when I think about having people over to my house, it's not that I want to impress them and go over the top just to make them be wowed. It's that I want them to feel invited, and that I put intention into creating that atmosphere for them to feel welcome and relaxed, and to be able to have a good time, and to make it look beautiful just for the sake of admiring beauty, So as silly and as that might seem, like, I feel like there's a really neat opportunity that you have with weddings to be able to create such a really meaningful, special time. I know for my husband and I, when we got married, we were like, we kind of had decided what was important to us. And we were like, we want people to walk away and just feel like they had such a good time. And we want it to be something where like they felt like we cared about the whole experience, and we wanted really good food. That was like my big thing. I'm like, I want people to know that they were fed well at our wedding. And so even now, like when we talk about our wedding with friends that were there and stuff, like we had a mashed potato bar, which was like, that's mashed potatoes are like my love language. And so people like still talk about that, so there's just different things when it comes to planning your wedding that you can do to help create that meaningful experience for them. and to make it where it's personal to you guys as a couple too. So you're not just trying to recreate something that you saw on Pinterest, but it really is something that's personal to you guys as a couple, and meaningful to you. Because it doesn't really matter like what, if anybody else is impressed or not. It's that like it feels like you as a couple, and that when you walk into the room, even that you feel like, oh, this is me, like this feels like me. It doesn't feel like just, you know, the other weddings that I've seen happen here. Right. Like this feels like me. And so part of that is putting those personal touches on it. And so obviously, yes, we want the atmosphere, like we want it to have meaning and have purpose behind it and have intentionality, but also one of the easiest ways to do that is to put personal touches on it. And so I think the first step to that is kind of deciding what aesthetic you want. Like you kind of have to take some time to figure out like, okay, what is it that we want our feel to be? You know, what is it that you value as a couple? Are you outdoorsy? Do you love to travel? Do you love, you know, that timeless look, or do you kind of like things that are more edgy? What places do you love going, and what is it that you love about them? And so how can you kind of recreate that, you know, for your wedding, whether it's for the ceremony portion or the reception portion, and decide things through that lens. So, you know, do you want it to have a more relaxed feel? Or do you want people to just feel like, oh my goodness, this is so elegant and dreamy, or like this is romantic, or this is really modern and I like that, or this is really edgy, you know? So the first step is just deciding like, what is our aesthetic? What is that atmosphere that we're trying to create? And again, not so much the look, but just that feel of the room. And you know, your venue might have decor on hand and they can help with that, but with that, you can't always create that meaningful atmosphere that's personal to you. And so that's where I always recommend, even, you know, obviously budget wise, that's like, it's an amazing option to have that. When, you know, there are those like decor rooms, but sometimes you can even pull in outside pieces just to finish things and add those personal touches on it. So what was that?
It's crazy how the smallest things can change the atmosphere. I mean, when you know, it's all those details that sometimes are the hardest to decide on, but honestly, they make a big impact. And you know, and I love how you are talking about just personalizing it, because that's crucial. You know, there's no right or wrong in any wedding. And I love, yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I kind of put together a list of just some of my favorite ways that I've seen people add personal touches. And I think we have some pictures to go with these. But if you think about it, like in being a host or a hostess, one of the ways that you can add personal touches, and this is probably maybe my top favorite way, but to have special seating for your guests. And so if you think about like your close family, your parents or grandparents, those ones that have like the front row seat, it's always fun when you can offer an alternative seating option that is a little bit more special. So again, it kind of creates a really special experience for them. And then also makes for great photos. So here we have, this one was like the one on, I'm guessing it would be the left for them as well. But it was somebody's backyard wedding. And I thought it was so cool. They just did an eclectic combination of some of our upholstery items and had that for their family to sit in. And I loved how that turned out. And then with this other wedding, it actually, this is why it's great to have a wedding planner. So this wedding was originally going to be an outdoor ceremony, and then they were going to have the reception under the tent. And due to weather that day, being in Missouri, it was absolutely crazy. So they had to kind of adjust, and their planner was absolutely amazing at she was able to, because originally they had rented all of this just to be a lounge, but she upcycled it to be the special seating for the family, and then they flipped it for the actual reception part to be that. And so I love it, and definitely I love all of those pieces together too. So that's one way that you can add a personal touch, is to offer special seating for your family members. Another thing is, I love it when couples do like a unique guest book or welcome table. And so being able to have different things that are, whether it's more personal, like for this one, it was really sweet. They had some pictures of family members that were no longer there, or even just weren't able to make it, that were out of state. And so it was a really special way to still have them be a part of it. And then you can't actually see, I should have given another photo for this, but at the bottom, you can see it's a canvas, and their sister-in-law did a watercolor painting of the venue. It was at the mansion at Elfindale in their chapel there. So it's gorgeous. And so she did a watercolor painting of that, and then the guests signed the outside of it for their guest book. And so it was really just a neat way to do something a little bit more personal and meaningful to them as a couple. And then how cool is it that they have that to have in their house now, as that reminder. So again, I just love it when, even from the first moment that guests arrive, that there's something that has such a special twist to it. That is, it's a chance for the couple to welcome them, but also give that, like, we put intention into this, and we're excited that you're here and thankful that you're here. So that is another way. Another one is, in this, I guess I'm going to say that everything's my favorite, because maybe that's why I picked all these, because they're all my favorite. But I love, love, love. And I was actually talking with Shelby about this, and she loves it too. So 2 people love this. But when couples will have like personal, meaningful items for their detail shots, and so whether it's like heirloom jewelry, or like this one on their bouquet, they had the pictures of family members, and it was so, so sweet. And it's really great when you have those things, and then just make sure that your photographer captures it, because that it's there, but now you have that to be captured for forever. And so one of the things that I have in my inventory is styling kits. Because these like flat lays and detail shots I'm a sucker for them. Like, I love it when I get a gallery back from a wedding and I see all of these beautiful detail shots of things, because you really do get to capture, that bracelet that was from a great aunt, or, this heirloom ring that's been passed down. And so we have different things in them, like the trays and silk ribbons and ring boxes, things that you don't necessarily need after the wedding day, but make for really great photos. And again, with that, when you can add those personal, meaningful mementos in there, I love that. Absolutely love it. The next one, and again, I'm going to say that everything's my favorite, but I love it when couples do real plates and flatware and glasses. We have a vintage goblet collection that I'm of course partial to. It's kind of one of those growing collections that anytime I see a set, I'm like, oh, look, there's some more amber ones, or there's some more green ones. And so I'll add to it. But I love this because to me, it just creates this if you think about it, if you're having people over at your house, not all the time do you go to the effort of using the real dishes. A lot of times it's like, we're having a big get together, let's just do the plastic or cardboard plates or whatever and toss them. And so for this, on your wedding day, it's kind of an extra special event. And so it can be a really special way to create a meaningful atmosphere that's very personal and intentional in that way. And I totally understand, like, it's not always in the budget to do that. Like, it's not always possible. And so even if it's not something that you can do for the whole entire wedding guest list, even if you go all out and you do the real plates and flatware and all the dinnerware like that for your head table or your head table and your family tables, and then you can do what you need to for the other ones to kind of be a little bit more cost effective if that's what you're needing to do. But it's still a special way to kind of bring things up a notch. And honestly, a lot of times your photographer is going to focus more on the head table and family tables when it comes to detail shots of things. And so you can still have those things, that you have invested in to be captured. So there is, that as well. And the other thing too with that, it's a good sustainable option. It's like a eco-friendly thing to do instead of disposable. So there's that. Because for some couples, that's a really important thing for them. They want to have a more sustainable wedding and not one that isn't. So there's that. And then another one that I really love, and this one it's also fun because you can get kind of creative with it, but I love when there's good signage for weddings, and whether it's chalk signs or, the acrylic or plexiglass, those things that are a little bit, obviously there's like trends with things. So however, whatever your style is, to do it in that way, but it's such a nice way to be a host because it gives your guests information that they need to know. If they've never been to your venue before, then they're probably like, I hope I'm in the right place. So if they see a lovely sign that says, welcome to the Holmes wedding, then it kind of gives them that like, okay, we're at the right wedding, good deal, and then, if they're not, whether it's this or other signage that you can do, if they're not familiar, then they might not know where the bathrooms are. And that's like a kind of good thing to know if you're in a space for multiple hours. And it's a way to give like extra information. So if you want to, have your program on that so they kind of see the layout of things, or if you want to give special indications like we're having an unplugged ceremony, so please, put your phone away. So you can be present for the moment, however it is, things that you need to communicate. It's a good like housekeeping thing, as well as it can really be pretty in the meantime with it as well. And then the final thing for this, as far as different ways that you can kind of add personal touches, is through having a special lounge area. And so this one, again, like I love this. I'm partial to this because probably my favorite aspect of our inventory is like our upholstery pieces. But it's such a nice way to create like a relaxed atmosphere. You're able to create this kind of cozy space where when people have been dancing on the dance floor, they have somewhere to just kind of relax at and have, conversations with people that they haven't seen for a while. I always recommend like if the layout of your space allows for it, to kind of have the lounge area near the dance floor. Because if you have older guests that still want to see what's going on, but maybe would prefer to not be sitting in a Chiavari chair or whatever, to have somewhere a little bit more relaxed to sit. And then as you can see in the other photo, it also is great because it doubles for a great place to have some really awesome photos. So it's kind of fun. This is from the wedding earlier that showed the special seating. That other one is how they kind of rearranged it for the reception time to be a lounge area and also a place where people could take pictures. So kind of some fun different ways to create some more like personal touches to your space to really create that atmosphere that you're hopefully wanting to create. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts?
I was just going to say, I think the atmosphere, I think you've nailed it, honestly, as far as, the experience that your guests will have, you want them to feel like they've gotten to know you. And a big part of getting to know you is your style and your, and the things that are important to you. And when you can add on, those little, again, personal touches. And a lot of couples are worried, oh, I don't want my, if we have, I've been to that venue for a wedding, I don't want my wedding to be the same. There's no two weddings that are ever the same. There right. Just isn't. I mean, there are so many options that you can add on that show your personal side of every wedding. And so, just when you're choosing what that atmosphere and what you want to portray to your guest, just personalize it, because that's what they'll love. They'll love all, like when I look at these, it just makes me smile. It's all those personal things that you don't see, at every wedding, or you might see a part, but not the other, side of it. And a lot of that has to do with your decor. And, obviously we already talked about wedding planners, but that is one thing about when they start putting in their expertise is always really helpful. Yes. But they, when you sent me the images for the slide, it just makes you happy. And yes, I'm the same way. I love this. I feel like I say that, but every time you're talking about weddings, I feel like as wedding professionals, that's what we're all saying about every single thing, because it's like, oh, I love this. Oh, but I love this. This. And, it's a wedding you should love. I mean, that, it's our love is our business. Let's face it. Yeah. So yeah, I love this, Jamie.
Good. So with that, I kind of put together, like, this next little part is hopefully just helpful as far as when it comes to like the process of picking out your decor and trying to create that meaningful and personal atmosphere, just kind of almost like the framework for how to move through that process. And so the first one is just starting with your functional essentials. So that's looking at your tables and chairs, lighting if it's needed, flatware, dinnerware, linens. All of these are the bones of what creates that atmosphere. And it's kind of the necessities. They're the functional things that are needed. You need somewhere for your guests to sit. You need something for your guests to eat off of if that's what they're going to do. And I think on the next one, maybe there's like a picture of, this wedding, let me tell you, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But when you're working with a space that before all of this stuff arrived just looked like a pavilion, because that's what it was. It was just a pavilion, absolutely gorgeous, but just a pavilion, and so even just starting with the functional essentials of getting tables and chairs, and obviously a lot of venues have that, and so that's a good thing. But even if it's like you're wanting to do something a little bit, again, more special for the head table or the family tables, you can kind of begin to look at those functional essential decor things. Or maybe it's that you need linens for all of those rounds, and being able to kind of look through that. And so those are kind of like the groundwork. I guess maybe this is like a pyramid. I love, Maslow's hierarchy of things. It's my psych roots there. But you can kind of, in the hierarchy of needs, your first need is you need the essentials. You need your tables and chairs and the dinnerware for people to eat on. The next kind of thing would be your decorative essentials. And so kind of starting with, you need your ceremony aisle decor, and need could kind of be an overstretch there, but you might want some aisle decor to kind of help. Again, these are just ways that you help make it more personal. If there's anything that this past month and a half has taught all of us, it's that at the end of the day, what really, really matters is that you as a couple are getting to commit to spend together, forever together. And all of these things are the end of the day, excess, but when you can do them are so special. And so in being able to create that atmosphere and to have that dream wedding, you know, that you are wanting to have. And so you can have, you know, that the aisle decor. Sorry, that was like my little side tangent there, but in my heart, it's important that you know that that's how I feel about all of this. And then too, just looking at like your altar backdrop, your welcome and like your guest book table, those things, even like your centerpieces. I think there might be some like more pretty stuff to look at on the next one too. Yeah, see that altar backdrop though, and centerpieces. It just, I could stare at these photos forever. This Queen City Blooms did the florals for that, and oh my goodness, those ladies, they work magic. And so these are kind of your decorative essentials. So these are the bare bones of kind of what's needed to create that atmosphere that you're going for. And so these are the things that can really transform a space completely too. When you walk into somewhere and you just see the functional essentials of it, it's like, okay, this is kind of the groundwork of what we're working with. But then when you add in these different personal touches, that's when you really begin to transform a room. And so even with like your centerpieces, I think on the next one, there's like, this is, oh, I love those. Brass candlesticks and some moody candles. Oh my goodness. I love it. And those florals. And then, you know, we have like our vintage book collection and lanterns and milk glass. And so there's all, you can kind of see how like you can really create a certain look and feel just based off of your centerpieces that you choose. It's your chance to put like a personal touch on your wedding and just let it be you guys as a couple. So maybe you are more minimalist and you don't necessarily want something super over the top, or maybe you're like, I want glam, you know, and I want something way over the top, or you're somewhere in between there, you know, but that's kind of, those decorative essentials are a simple way to have that feel created and for you to kind of have a chance to like put yourself out there in that sense, as far as like, this is me. Like, because again, you want to walk into the room and feel like, this is my space. Like, I feel happy here. I can dance all night long here, or I can have dinner with my closest friends and family here, you know, however it looks, that it feels comfortable to you. And you have that same reaction of just like, I love this. Like, this is so beautiful. And so those are kind of your functional essentials, and then your decorative essentials. And then next is your secondary details. So these are things like your place cards, your menus, having love quotes on stuff, or different personalization things. Like, this is your chance to kind of put a little bit more detail into it. And again, it just brings it up a notch as far as like the look and the feel of it. And so you can kind of, you know, if there's like a quote from a movie that you guys love as a couple and it just is totally your thing, then like, yeah, have that somewhere at least, you know, or if it's, you know, a verse that's meaningful to you, or a quote that's always been really special, then like to put those on different things. And then, you know, whether you're doing a seating chart or not, you know, there's different ways that you can create those personal touches in those secondary details. So even in like your table numbers, maybe you do something that's a little bit more unique, and you have like, I saw there was a wedding last fall, I think it was, where they had in picture frames different pages from books that they loved, and they had like the number of the table on those. And it's just like, there's just so many ways that you can create some really sweet details that just help fill and complete this whole atmosphere that you're trying to create. And then finally you have those finishing touches. Yeah.
I have to comment, because do you see those centerpieces? And they're obviously, you know, good photographer. They're kind of blurred out, but those geos, Oh my,
Yes.
those make my heart happy every time I see them. Let
I
alone
know.
the thing about it is, and I want to make sure, because I was going to say it on the last one, but it's the same thing. What you'll have when your wedding is over, what you will have are the images and
Yes.
video that, hopefully, those, you've got two good professionals for those. But when you look back, if that was me, and when I look back and I see that makes my heart happy. Like, it's those little things that, again, just like you're saying, it's the little details that when you add those, it just, that is the part that's the personal side that makes it all just come together and so incredibly special. So anyway, go ahead. I know I interrupted.
Well, and I think too, it's being okay with if what your style isn't something that you can find on Pinterest. Like, that's okay, because if it's you, then you do you, just whatever it is that when you look at it, you feel like, this is me. Like, I love this. This makes my heart happy. It sparks joy, whatever, however you want to reference it. But to know that, like, you can kind of think outside the box, and you don't necessarily have to do something because you saw it somewhere, but it's also a chance to be creative. And I know that that's not everyone's thing. So sometimes it's helpful when you have things, so you have that inspiration of like, oh, I never thought about that. I could do it like that. Right. So, and then so we've had like our functional essentials, our decorative essentials, the secondary details, and then finally is the finishing touches. And so these are the additional ways that you can personalize it and help it feel more meaningful. And on a practical sense, they can also help fill empty space. So if you kind of need to fill some space in your venue area, but there are different things like backdrops. Obviously this is showing ceremony, but all of these things could be used in a reception as well, behind the head table or sweetheart table, behind the dessert table. Like, there's ways that you can recycle things, so you're getting good use out of it as well. But also it's a way to kind of bring things up a notch with it. And so having those things like different backdrops. Another one, again, you've heard me talk about these already a little bit, but lounges. Those are, and I think we might have on the next one, it has like one of my favorite. Oh, no, this is the dessert bars. Just kidding. Okay, so another way is, so some of those like finishing touches is you can do unique dessert displays or drink areas. And again, these are a good way to fill space if you're needing to. But it also just creates a beautiful focal point. And it's just, I think it's one of my most favorite things to do, is to like help couples come up with like unique ways to do their dessert bar or drink station or whatever, just so it's like an extra fun way that also can be so beautiful. And again, it's just a way to like put your personal touch on it and help it to feel like you guys as a couple. I'll wait for the next one so I talk about the right thing. So another way is lounges. And so this is, again, we've talked about them as far as like they're good for comfortable seating for older guests or by the dance floor. It's a nice place to be able to just catch up with people, but also really good for photo ops. And so I understand that obviously this isn't going to be for every wedding. This is kind of a finishing detail. So after you've done all the other things and you look and see where you're at in the budget, then maybe you say like, yeah, that would be really special and a nice addition to have to our wedding decor as far as like the atmosphere that it would help create. Because for me, like when I walk into an area and I see like this really beautiful lounge area, like it's inviting. It feels like, man, that's cozy. I want to sit there. I want to have a conversation there. And so again, it's those things that really help bring meaning and intention to your wedding and your reception instead of, just doing it the way that everybody else does it. So it's kind of a fun additional finishing touch that you can add. And to the other thing, they're really good. Like I said earlier, they double really well for a photo op area as well. So it's kind of nice. So with all of those, I think that might be all of it. Maybe there's one more. Oh, yes. Oh, see, I love that. So another thing too is kind of like in a finishing touch of things, it's maybe looking back and saying like, what is something extra special that I can do for my family? And so again, looking at it and saying like, okay, well, I want them to have like a special, like the farmhouse tables to sit on. So they're kind of like set apart, and it creates this like family style feeling. And so being able to say like, I want to do that. Or maybe again, it's that they have like the goblets and the flatware and those things. So just looking through and saying like, okay, what are some finishing touches that I can do to help bring in some more personalization and meaning to it, but also in the sense of like, if I'm wanting somebody to feel this way when they walk into a room, what can I do to help facilitate that? Like, how can I create that inviting, welcoming home feeling, even down to my reception? And so kind of looking at it, especially, I don't know, for me, I think about like family and those close friends and being able to just create that like meaningful experience for them as well. And so with that, we'll review. So we have the functional essentials, the decorative essentials, the secondary details, and then those finishing touches. And so as you're deciding all of those things when it comes to your decor, you want to do it all through that lens of like, what is the atmosphere that I'm trying to create? What is the feel? Not so much the look even. I mean, yes, obviously if you're wanting something that's like more boho or more classic, then you're gonna make those decisions based off of that. But also it's just, how is it that you want people to feel? And so to make to look at things through that lens when you're deciding on decor and all of those different things, because it really is a special opportunity. I love weddings. And again, I know like we do this because we love weddings, but it's such a neat opportunity to be able to be surrounded by people that mean something to you. And so, and even if it is just 5 other people, however things play out in the future, like, but to know that like you were still able to put intention into it, and you still get to create this environment and this atmosphere that feels like you guys as a couple and is meaningful to you as well. So then when you are looking back at pictures, you get to see like, oh, remember when we like decided on that, and or like, remember when we found that and we didn't even know that existed. Like, to have those moments, it makes it a little bit more fun. And if all of that stresses you out, then it's okay to be minimal. Because I get it. Like there are different couples where some are like, yes, and then others are like, I don't really care as much about that. And so that's where it's like you have a chance to work with other professionals who can help lead you through that process if you just feel overwhelmed with like, I don't even know where to start. Like I remember last year, there was a bride who I had met, and she was like, I can't even come up with a centerpiece idea. And so I kind of gave her some suggestions of like things that I had on my website. And we ended up just meeting at a coffee shop, and I brought like a box of things, and I was like, well, what do you think about this? Which isn't always the typical experience for like renting from me. But again, it's like, if you aren't sure, there are definitely willing professionals that are ready and able to kind of help you through that process, because it's not meant to be overwhelming. And so if it is, step back, take a deep breath, and do figure out what's important to you and just make the decisions through that as well.
And sometimes, when you're doing your wedding planning, sometimes the best thing you can do is to ask the professional, what do you think? Because I can tell you, it does. It takes a lot of stress. If you give them just some basic ideas, and most wedding professionals are creatives. I mean, most of us have a creative side, and that's why we love what we do. So, just like you said, just, hey, I don't even know what to do. Ask, ask someone who has suggestions, because we've been around for a little while. And we've seen a lot. And so, but, just like you're saying, Jamie, I mean, just to be able to come to you and just say, Jamie, what do you suggest? Like, I don't even know where to start. That's okay to ask. I know for some of the wedding professionals that we have on Top Weddings, sometimes the best thing you can do is just say, oh my goodness, whatever you think, like, this is my idea. And then I'm going to let you have that creative input. Is sometimes when you get amazing results. I know, like with cake or flowers or, a lot of those kind of things, they're professionals for a reason, because we've seen a lot. So, and that really helps you take stress off. When you can come and say, I know we planned a party, a few months ago, and I can tell you, I have seen a lot, but it was so nice just saying, oh my gosh, Jamie, what do you think? Like, okay, Jill, what do you think? That was so, Rochelle, okay, I'm going to trust you and your judgment. What do you think? Because that, man, takes all the pressure off of you and honestly gives it to someone who is going to steer you right, because they care about what you're doing. And so I love that. So we did have a question. Shelby asked, do you do consultations to help guide brides?
So typically in my rental process, I don't necessarily do consultations. I always love to refer and recommend design to different design people that I know or planners that I know, but I'm also more than willing to have a conversation to say, like, okay, I'm getting married here, even just to start you in the right direction as far as like, okay, I'm getting married at this venue, what do I even do? And I can say like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we've done quite a few weddings there. These are the pieces that typically go, because they do kind of work with the atmosphere that the venue already has. And so you can kind of complete it with those. And so I'm more than happy to do that. I don't necessarily offer design services because I know so many incredible people that do that already. And so I love just being able to refer to them. But I'm also not opposed to having a conversation, grabbing some coffee, or even if it's just through email, of just kind of helping you get steered in the right direction of where to start, because it can get overwhelming.
Yeah. Perfect. And I didn't stop you earlier, but when it was back on the sentimental pieces, that were, I want to touch on this before we go to the next topic. Shelby said, tell your photographer what is sentimental to you. That you know what to prioritize. And that's very true. Any little personal touches that are special to you, make sure that you let your photographer and videographer know, because you put those little touches, those little details, and it's what will make some of your best memories as well, from the wedding day. So, absolutely. So that was good.
Yeah, no, that was smart. Thank you. Because it is like, you're not guaranteed to know that it was like a family heirloom. So to just make sure, because that would be sad to, have that intention put into it and then not have it be captured.
Right. And, you know, photographers, I mean, we have a lot of great photographers on Top Weddings. They, yeah, definitely still need you to let them know about things like that. So, and that's important because those are the things you definitely want to remember afterwards. So, okay, so is that, are we
part one?
So guys, we are going to go ahead. I'm going to do just a couple recaps. If you're just joining us, this is Jamie with, I'm going to pull you back off of here. Okay. Jamie with Vintage Rental Company. And we are, and I'm Deb with Top Weddings, and we do a live every Wednesday at 5:00 on Wedding Wednesdays. And we, of course, are live in our 417 Engaged Couples group, which if you're engaged, you can join at any time. And then also we are live on Facebook. And then what we also do with these videos is we will take all of this good information that Jamie's given us and these beautiful images. And we will cut the video so that, you know, if you want to watch one half of it or the other half, because we're just doing we're just doing 2 topics today, that you can watch those at a later time as well. So, so we are going to go ahead because we have another great topic that I am a little passionate about as well. So
which I love.
Yes. So let's see. Do I need to? Was there anything else? I was going to look at questions. I'm like, there was something else I was going to do before we went on. Okay. Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I just got a really encouraging text from my husband. I love you. Don't say anything stupid. He's always in my corner, that man.
Well, you'll go home and be upset if you, but yeah, you're doing a great job. They are always there to help us, you know, with the thoughts that we don't think of. Have you guys been married?
Huh?
How long have you guys been married?
It will be, this is horrible, 9 years in December.
Aw, congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next topic, the benefits of renting, and obviously, we couldn't have a better advice. That's okay. Shelby's messaging me saying, you're saying a lot. Thank you, Shelby.
See, look at our people taking care of us.
Oh, I know. Oh, I almost said it. Shelby, I stopped. Be proud of me. Okay, so we are going to talk about the benefits of renting. So, Jamie, go ahead.
So, obviously, this is something that I am passionate about as well. And I think it stems from the fact that it breaks my heart when I have people that like come across my Instagram or different things like after their wedding and they're like, oh my goodness, I wish I would have known that you existed. Because of the fact that for whatever reason, I think not everyone thinks about renting decor for their wedding. Like, you know, sometimes, and obviously there's different brides and couples that land on all sides of this. But for some people, especially more of like your DIY bride, she's just thinking like, okay, I got engaged. I'm going to need to go buy all of this stuff now from Michael's and Hobby Lobby and see what I can get off Marketplace and like all of these things. And it's like, no, because when you rent your decor, and I will say, first of all, I am a huge proponent for finding some really unique decor pieces that you love that will add meaning to whether it's for your ceremony or your reception that then can be recycled and used as decor in your home. I love that because then you have that reminder, like even if it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like what we used for some of our stuff that I still use as decor. Actually, I don't know if I use anything as decor anymore. It's all kind of phased out 9 years ago, you know. But with that, you also can only use like so many lanterns in your home as decoration. You know, like there's only so much that you can do with it. So anyways, that's my little like, I don't caveat to this. Like, yes, there are some things that like you're going to want to buy because you can use it in your home, or you just really, you won't be able to find it anywhere else. But there are so many benefits to renting your decor because of the fact that when you're renting from someone, it gives you the ability to create that meaningful but also cohesive atmosphere. So when I have, because my inventory, it's a little bit different. Like I try to offer more unique pieces that you might not necessarily be able to find at a bulk rental company. A lot of my pieces have a little bit more character than others, but they're all, I've curated my inventory with that in mind, that you're wanting to create a meaningful and cohesive atmosphere. And so I have collections that complement each other well. And so with that, you're able to create that look and that feel that you're wanting through the different collections that I have, even when it comes to like centerpieces, like having those brass candlesticks that I promise you, you do not want to go to every flea market on the face of the planet to try to find. Like, just come to me. I have them all, and I have plenty. I've done that, so you don't have to. And so with that first point of just knowing that you're able to create a meaningful and cohesive atmosphere. But then the other thing is that it does save you time and it saves you money. So when you think about trying to find all of this different decor that you're wanting to create this atmosphere and this look that you want, if you're having to go out and source it yourself, takes a lot of time to go find all of these different things. And then the other aspect of it is you're paying full price for something. Whereas if you're renting it, you're paying a rental price of it. And so it's a fraction of the cost of if you went out and bought it all yourself. Mm-hmm. And then with that too, you're able to keep your space, because if you go out and you buy all of this stuff for your wedding, and let's just say you're going to be engaged for 10 months, and so you're spending that time trying to go out and find all of this stuff, and every once in a while you find it, oh, it's on sale this week, let me get it, and you start collecting all of these different things for your decor, but you have to store it somewhere in the meantime in those 10 months. And so it can get really chaotic and really overwhelming too, even if you have a spare room to keep it in, or you have your parents' garage to keep it in, or whatever it is. Like, it can get overwhelming to see those things like grow day in and day out, and to have that room be filled. I personally am like, clutter stresses me out, like when there's tons of stuff everywhere. And so maybe you're similar to that. So it's just something to consider. Like, there's a benefit to renting because you also aren't having to store everything in the meantime. And then the other really big advantage, which I don't know if everybody thinks about this in the process, but everything that you potentially, if you didn't rent, everything that you bought that you're having to now take to your venue to decorate with, you have to transport it all. So that means like you have to figure out the logistics, especially if you only have your venue for 12 hours or, however many hours, you're having to figure out like, okay, I'm needing to get my makeup done and my hair done at this time. Is Aunt Sue going to get everything in her minivan and bring it over? What if she forgets the box? What if, like, when it gets there, people don't know what to do with it or where it goes? So there's a lot of there's a lot of factors there. So you should rent, and you should also have a planner. That's another one. Planners are just getting all the plugs right now because they are invaluable. Yes. So, but with that, the benefit of renting is you can let the professional handle it. And so you're not having to rent a U-Haul to get everything there. You're not having to organize making sure that everything does get there and gets to the right spot. Like maybe this box was supposed to be for ceremony stuff and it's now over at the reception site. So just dealing with the headache of that when you're trying to do it yourself. Whereas if you rent, you have the option for delivery. So all of your items arrive at a certain window of time and they're all there and you didn't even have to load them up, you know? And so there's a lot of benefits in that one. And then two, just when everything's over, you don't have to worry about what to do with it all afterwards. Because again, there's only so many things that you can recycle as decor in your home to where, you know, you might be stuck trying to sell 20 lanterns that there really was no reason to buy in the first place because you could have rented them, you know? And so just trying to understand that, like, there's so many benefits to renting for your sanity's sake of just being able to know that, like, everything is taken care of. Everything is, you know, because for me, when stuff goes out, I like pre-sanitize things. I get things. So even if it's been sitting on my shelf for a little bit, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't have dust on it. I'm going to make sure that it's nice and shiny clean. And I'm, you know, making sure that all of the upholstery items have been like treated and vacuumed off and everything's in like good shape to where when it shows up for you, you have a good quality item to be able to create that atmosphere with. And then at the end of things, like, you aren't having to worry about it. It's not, you're not stuck trying to have to make sure that, you know, because even just logistically, as far as like, well, you're supposed to be leaving for your honeymoon, but you need to make sure that, you know, what was the venue stays and nobody packs anything that was yours because you know, so being able to like not necessarily have to worry about that as much. And then, you know, my husband and I enjoy our late night dates of doing our late night pickups and going, you know, and getting the things at the end of the evening when things have wound down. And, you know, we get them set back into their little home in our place, and you aren't having to list 1,000 items on Marketplace afterwards. So that's like my soapbox for the benefits of renting. I get kind of passionate about it because, again, it's such, because I do hear people say, like, I didn't even know you existed. I wish I would have known. Mm-hmm. You know, and that goes not just for me, but all of the other rental companies in this area. There's such, I love our wedding community. There's like so many great options out there for what you might be needing and wanting decor wise. And so it's definitely worth looking into before you start scouring all of the places to find the things that you are wanting to have. Because again, it also can save you a lot of money and time in that sense.
Absolutely. And you know, I a couple things. So I cannot tell you how many times I have seen somebody, and it just happened a couple days ago, where someone was, you know, bought lanterns for a wedding, and they paid $250 for all of the lanterns, and they were selling them for, I think, either $150 or $175. I can't remember. And you know, just like Jamie said, that you have to store them, you have to worry about them, you have to make sure that they're all clean, you have to, you know, all of that. And then afterwards, you have to make sure that you are selling them, because nobody needs $250 worth of lanterns. So I know I had a beautiful wedding. It's, oh my goodness, probably been a year and a half ago. And the mom was from Colorado, and she brought a lot of the stuff, and honestly gave stuff away after the wedding because she didn't want to haul it back. Yep. And, you know, so renting is such a good option. And honestly, the reason why I feel like I'm, you know, I get so excited that we were talking about it is because it is anything that takes stress off the couple.
Mm-hmm.
And so, when you're trying to decide what you're going to use and what you're going to do, know that when you're choosing to rent, whether, just like Jamie said, whether it's, an arbor or, I can't tell you how many times I've seen people build an arbor because they didn't realize, that they could just go rent one. And some of that is great memories. But some of it, you could be making memories doing something so much different that you're going to keep forever compared to something that you're going to use at a wedding one time, but you want to make that impact. And I do feel like this is something that a lot of people do not realize. I feel like wedding planners know this exists and knows what they can do with it. And that's why Jamie talking about wedding planners, because they've been there, they've done that. And so they know, hey, you've given me this budget. I know what we can do within the budget because, we're going to be renting some of those pieces. So anyway, I think that this is huge. And, even if you're not sure what you want to rent, at least just check to see what options are there before you start going and trying to piece stuff together. Because I can tell you another thing is, when you're looking for something and if you have 10 tables and they're seating 8, that's only 80 people. So if you have 160 people, you've got to have, you could have 20 tables. And when you're trying to find 20 centerpieces, 20 of the same exact thing, or 10 of one and 10 of the other, that's time consuming. And and again, I am all for anything that takes stress, and that's why I get so excited about it, because it is just such a huge benefit. And of course, Rochelle commented and said, love all the info, all of your items are so pretty, and love the unique items options that you have. You are my go-to girl.
I love her. She's my girl too.
She has, we had her on a few weeks ago, and her rental pieces as well. And I just, if you're planning a wedding, know that check your options when it comes to rentals, because it for a fraction of the price, honestly, you can do so much more, because you're not spending all this money on 20 centerpieces. So yeah.
That's great. And I think too, another bonus thing with renting is it is a sustainable option. You're choosing something that, especially for my inventory, the pieces that I have, they weren't like mass produced cheap pieces. They're really unique quality, special things. And so I think it's really great too, like when you consider that, to have that as an option and a benefit to renting your decor.
Yes. And I completely agree. So, okay. Was that it as far as benefits?
Yep. That's what I have.
Yay. And I know that we are going to, let me end here. So thank you, obviously, Jamie. I know we're going to need to cut this video. So thank you, Jamie, for being here today. And I think I've asked all the questions that came in already for you. So, but if you're still on, we are going to, and if you're a couple, we are going to look at a couple things on Jamie's website, just because I think, I just feel like some of the things that I want to show are beneficial, especially if you're renting. So, we will go ahead, and I'm saying a lot. I can see why Shelby's saying that. And I just said it again. Goodness. Okay, let me get this screen, because I'm going to have to go and share a different screen. So hang on.
It's kind of bad when it goes to big again. because you forget, like, oh, people are watching me. You're just a little tiny rectangle.
You don't.
And then I'm like, oh, that's what I look like. Okay.
All right, so let me share this. Oh, goodness. Hang on. Technical difficulties. Hang on just a second. Okay. So I do want to say thank you. I realized I didn't say that before. So thank you for being here today.
Of course.
We are with Jamie with Vintage Rental Company, and she has given us a lot of information, and we are going to look over a few things on her website. So when you go to rentals, and Jamie, I'm just going to plug this for just a second because you won't see where I'm going. But what I love is when you go to rentals, there are all kinds of things that you can rent. And I think for me, where are I feel like we've talked about lanterns a lot. Where are the lanterns?
So those are in the small details.
Okay. I didn't want to push one of them and then it'd be wrong. So
yeah. Well, and now I'm like, wait, is it small details? Is that where it's at? It should be in the small details. Yep, there's some lanterns that I have right there.
So, when we were putting the slideshow together, I told Jamie, I'm like, oh my gosh, we could literally just go to the website and view, because some of these things that are so many of these things that are on the website are so beautiful and personal. And I mean, just thinking it for me, when I look at all of this, I think, oh my gosh, the options that we have, like the options that as far as what you can put together. And I have not seen that kind of phone for quite a while.
I know. I love them. They're so fun.
And of course, the signs, so when I'm just going to go to this lantern just because we're already here. So you can put in how many, and I make sure I'm telling this right, but put in how many that you're wanting, and then you just add it to the wish list.
Yep. Yeah, so it functions as like an online shopping cart, but it'll take you to submit it. It takes you to checkout, but like no payments required or anything like that. But that's how it submits it to me. And so basically you just get to online shop. So I operate as an online storefront. So all of my inventory is listed with pictures and pricing on my website. So you can kind of see everything that there is, and just kind of start again with those like functional essentials, and then going through for the decorative ones, and then kind of looking at those secondary things and finishing touches, and just create your wish list. And honestly, I always tell people, like, just anything that you're interested in, just so we can get you started on stuff. It doesn't, like, when you submit your wish list, it doesn't mean that like I have to rent this, I am renting this. It's just your wish list. It's like, these are the items I'm interested in, and it helps us get the ball rolling as far as, are they available and what would it end up costing total, and just kind of being able to start the conversation there. But then there's a few more steps before it actually is like officially reserved.
Right. Yeah, and I went to a different page just to kind of show so many options that honestly you don't have to go out to try to find. And for me, again, when I go back to this was I know Katie, she had said something about an arbor at one point, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I think I messaged you to ask you if you had. My goodness, I can go look. This is so silly. So just, know that when you're planning, your wedding, just any of the little things that you can add, just really and truly make it adds those personal touches, and just, have fun with it. And to me, this, and I know that right now, obviously, we've been doing all online shopping because of, but this to me is so much easier than going out and finding. So just, is there anything else you want to touch on as far as the website?
No, I mean, I think with this, it's kind of nice. So there are some different categories as far as like if you click over to where it says weddings, on the top menu bar, it kind of is a good launching point. So if you've never been to the website before, it kind of helps you understand the process of how things go. And so you can kind of get started there and then view what there is. And then, like I said, you just add the things that you're interested in. And it's just a good way to get started. And then we can kind of figure out like, okay, this is how many I actually need, or, I'm not going to need that, turns out. And so we can kind of adjust things. And then once you're a little bit more sure about what it is that you need exactly, then we can get that event info form, and then we're able to get your official proposal. And then I just require a 50% retainer payment and a signed contract to officially reserve the items. And then the remaining balance is due 30 days prior is kind of the process for it. But I try with my website with this, it's kind of a hands-off experience from my end, in that you know what you need. And so you're able to just go through and just say add to wish list for the things that you need, rather than trying to like get it figured. It's I guess it's a personal thing where I'm like, I don't want to be told that I need something if I don't actually need it. And so I try to create it where it's a very client-friendly experience, to where there's not like a ton of pressure with it, where it's just like, you know what you need and you know what you like. And so you're able to go through and decide that. But if you are needing some more direction or help, then just head over to the contact tab and shoot me a message. And I'm more than happy to kind of help walk you through it, or help you maybe kind of brainstorm some decor options and kind of work with you in that way. But again, I just try to make it really easy and simple and not too crazy complicated. And I personally love online shopping, so it works well in that sense.
Right. And I'll touch back on one thing that we didn't touch on before, which when you go back to table centerpieces, you might not know until you get your RSVP as far as how many tables that you're going to need centerpieces for. And that number can grow than what you expected, or it can shrink then, as far as how many you're expecting. And so that is another thing that I will say, and I know this takes us back to benefit of renting, but you have that flexibility until that final, numbers are in, to say, okay, you know what, we've had an increase in numbers or a drop in numbers, so we only need this many. And I feel like that's another benefit, because if you have planned for, 400 guests and, not all of them can come, you've also planned for a lot of tables too. So, and I know that goes back to benefits of renting, but I knew there was something else that I wanted.
It's good. It's
so,
welcome here.
And again, I'm not trying to sell Jaime. I am just trying to make sure that, the easier the wedding planning is, the better it is. On relationship, on just all of it. So, okay. Well, anything else that you want to add?
I don't think so. I've enjoyed our time. This has been fun.
I have too. And thank you for being here. We are, so excited to be doing this every week. Just so blessed. We have wedding professionals lined up until June already. And so I love every week, because everybody brings something you know, a little bit different to the table, and the more couples that we can help, that's why we're here. So so thank you, Jaime, for being here. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for your heart. I just love your heart. I love how you love couples. So okay, we will I guess we are done. So thank you guys all for joining in, and we appreciate you being here and love you all, and we're good. We'll see you later. See you next Wednesday at 5. Bye.